here we are on October 28th, 1992, with Mr. Richard Jones and Mrs. Ada Kay. And I told them I would interview them. So, let's start with when you were little children. Where did you live?
On the Isle of Dogs.
Yes. I was born in Manchester Road. I think it's about 565, the number of the road in the Isle of Dogs. I was only looking at my birth certificate the other day. So I found out.
And is that where you grew up, that same address? Did you grow up in that same house?
No, we moved to, it never really had a name, but there was 12 new houses built in what they called Palm Road. That was the name, more or less. It really wasn't Palm Road, but they called it Palm Road. And we grew up from there. Then after that we moved to another address in Manchester Road, next to Uncle, what's his name, the barber.
Oh, Uncle Charlie, yeah.
Was it Charlie Carey?
No, Charlie Shaw.
Yeah.
Charlie Shaw.
Charlie Shaw, yes.
Yeah. But I wasn't born in the same house as Dick.
You were born, were you born in that farm road?
I was born at Charters Terrace, which I think is near Palm Road, isn't it?
Well, it may be Charters Terrace.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah, Charters Terrace.
Yeah.
It could be.
Just gonna cover this.
I never really knew the name of that road.
No.
Try not that squealing noise it makes.
Am I interested to know that I was run over with a horse and cart when I was 5 years old?
How did that happen?
Well, we were playing in the road, you know, there's not much traffic, well there wasn't then, and we were all playing in the road and Dick was there.
Mm.
You remember that? This horse and cart came around the corner and I don't know who said get out of the road or something, but instead of getting to the pavement I ran right across right into the horse's hooves, and I finished up with I think a fractured shoulder or something, a fractured foot, and one of my uncles picked me up and ran me all through the foot tunnel, you know the foot tunnel, through there to the hospital at the other side.
Yes.
Wow.
And I was at the right at the incident that when it happened.
He was there.
I was with Ada.
Probably you were supposed to be taking care of her.
I suppose, yes.
I suppose he thought, oh, let her go.
Wow. Were you in the hospital long?
They didn't keep me in because it was during the First World War. And I suppose they were fed up with kids like me, you know, they were looking after soldiers. So I had to attend that each day. I just vaguely remember one of my aunts lending me my mother a pram, you know, to push me backwards and forwards in.
And did the person who was driving the car?
They just got away with it.
Yeah.
There wasn't any case over it or anything at that time. Then you couldn't claim much like you can now. But some say that he was asleep. It was a coal cart. Some say that he was asleep. The horse knew his way home. I don't know whether it did or not.
Did they have many cars at that time?
No cars.
No.
No cars.
Horse and cart.
In fact, how would they get a car out to the
That
Isle of
was,
Dogs? How do they get cars out to the Isle of Dogs? How do they get cars onto the Isle of Dogs?
How they get them on the Isle of Dogs?
Yeah.
Well, the bridges.
Oh, there are bridges.
Yes,
You go across the
the
docks,
bridges
yes.
that used to open like that to let the ships go backwards and forwards.
On one road, you came right back through to the pavement of the road, right in the road.
Now that reminds me that Charlie said that when he was growing up, it was always an excuse for being late at school if the bridge was up.
Yeah, bridge, yeah.
It could be, yes.
Yeah,
But
that was
that
the
didn't
experience.
interfere with us because he lived on the other
He lived in Millwall.
end of the island, I think.
And how many brothers and sisters were there in your family?
How many relatives?
Well, how many in your immediate family? Yeah, how
Well,
many?
in just our
brothers?
family,
Yeah.
there was only just the five, two brothers and me, my mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother, she had 17 children.
Oh my goodness.
But
This-
only seven survived
that-
at the finish.
Yes,
This
Yes,
was
number of
your
twins.
mother's mother or your father's mother?
my mother's mother.
And let's see, your mother's mother came from where? Or what your mother's side of the family came
Well,
from where?
her name was Skills, that David said is a Viking name.
Mm-hmm.
Pam would have it's a Jewish name, but
And she had relatives in, I can never think of the name of that town. David would know.
who?
Grandma. Because they came over. They
Oh,
came over.
yes, I know.
Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah, they came from
the
Chicago.
Turks.
Yeah. And they came over and old grandfather's schools, he used to call them the Turks. And they bought a lot of these lusters. I don't know if you know what a luster is really, really forget.
Well, we have told they were about standard, you know, in ear height, really, but my grandmother's were about as high as that, on a glass dome, and the long cut glass drops all round them, because they were fashionable at the time, you know, everything with a glass dome over. And they took them back with them. They were after, you know, anything like that that they could get.
Yeah, and then before they got home, they all got smashed up.
And when they came over, did they come by plane or by
No,
boat?
I don't think they by boat, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think at that time we had the planes
No.
flying like that.
No, it was a good many years ago,
Yes,
wasn't it?
oh yes.
Mm.
I think Dick was only about 2 years old.
Now, when you were little kids, did you play a lot of games in the neighborhood?
Oh yes, hopscotch.
Yes, play all the games. Every year, every season, there was a game for every season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And what were some of them?
rounders, hopscotch rounders.
Whip and top, you
Yeah,
know,
there was pretty
top and
tough.
the whip. And that knick-knock with the stones, throw a stone and throw another one and try to hit that.
Yeah, you had a stone and I had a stone and we slide it along and I've got to try and hit your stone.
Mm-hmm.
Cherry stones, used to play with, do you know the stones from the cherries?
Mhm.
Children used to collect those. And on the pavement they would try to, one would put a cherry stone in and you would try with that yours to knock it out. And eventually when there was a whole load, you know, someone did eventually knock that one out and then got all the cherry stones.
One all the terraces.
Skipping, rope right across the road, you know, for skipping, and rounders that you play it now as baseball. We played at rounders, similar thing to that. You see, we stand at the four corners and one had a bat, hit it, and then you would run round. It was similar to big, actually. Or there was knocking down ginger, of course,
Oh, that was knocking on the doors.
and running away. You
And
know,
running away.
knock on someone's door and knock away.
And
Which,
sometimes you'd fix a long string onto the door.
to the next door.
Yeah. And then you knock on this door. And they try to open the door, but the string more or less stopped them. Because they were tied together.
And then again, I was, you can't remember that, can you? I know a cat with no legs. I was carrying it, and my grandfather had a shop, or our grandfather had a spring loader shop. We lived in the house next door. I wasn't very old, I wasn't very tall then. And I don't know how I come to have this candle, whether my mother gave it to me or not, I don't know. But I carried this lighted candle through the street to the next house, down the steps, put it indoors, put it on the table. Being so small, I stood on the table to light the gas, and the candle caught, you know, they used to wear white pinafores then, the children, caught alight. And I ran out into the area, which is your basement now, and someone coming along ran down and managed to put it out. And my mother never found out for a long time after who did it.
And you weren't
I wasn't-
burned yourself?
No, I
as you
wasn't
dressed?
burned. It was lucky he came along. I don't know whether it was lucky or not. It wasn't.
I don't remember that one.
And now you don't remember that, I do.
I guess you would. And what about you, Deb? Did you risk your life or almost get killed in any way, or were you pretty safe as a kid?
Tell Louise about your life when you were a teenager at school, how you had to
Oh.
push the barrow up.
Oh, yeah, because my grandfather, he was what would you call him?
He was a greengrocer.
Yeah, I know, but he was, what would you call him as a master?
Well, I don't know.
He,
A hard master.
yeah, he was a hard master. And I come home from school for lunch, and we would come home at 12 o'clock and go back to school at 2 o'clock. But what I had to do during that 2 hours was push a barrow up to the docks,
Loaded.
where all the dockers worked, loaded with fruit. And I used to sell that. And at 2 o'clock, sometimes Jenny would come
She
up,
would go up there
Yeah.
and relieve
would
you.
relieve me, and then she, after they were all finished, I'd run back to school, no dinner, nothing.
Oh, wow.
And
Check and make sure this is doing the right thing. Go ahead.
she would finish up putting the,
You
Alright.
used to get it, I thought you brought it home at 4 o'clock or
no,
just before the dockers finished.
no, I don't think so, no, I think I only was up there lunchtimes.
I thought you brought it back.
No, I never fetched it back, I don't remember fetching it back, I might have done sometimes,
Well, carry on.
because I know,
There was a week
when, I know when the Webbs had, I'd had the boot shop
Yeah.
in Glenmore Road, and there was a sweet shop in there, they used to
That's
sell ice cream.
Oh.
And now every time I was pushing the barrow back, I used to go and buy myself an ice cream in this ice cream place.
Well then, also the Winkles.
Oh, Winkles, yeah, I used to go around on a Sunday selling Winkles.
Grandfather used to buy them, put them in a big tub to wash them.
Yeah, in a large wire basket, well open, you see, and about the depth between each wire going round would be about that much.
Uh-huh.
And in the old-fashioned coppers was a big metal basin
Mm-hmm.
that held the water.
With
And underneath there was a little fire, and you used to poke that with sticks or wood or coal, whatever. And when that was boiling hot, he'd pick this wire basket up full of Winkles and drop it in, and after about 2 minutes, he'd pull it out. And you could hear them more or less. I always said you could hear them scream when they went in that boiling water, and they were cooked then.
And then on the Sunday what
Yeah,
happened?
and on the Sunday we used to go around, and Bill used to help me sometimes.
Yes, I know.
Go around selling the Winkles around the streets on a Sunday.
Because that was a well-known Sunday tea for the London people was shrimps and Winkles
Yeah.
every Sunday.
And did you go up to people's doors and sell them, or go to places where
Well,
they were?
You used to
Shout out
shout out the street,
in
you
the
know.
streets and they come out.
Yeah, what'd you shout?
Oh,
Fresh
I was talking
Winkles.
about Winkles or something. I
Fresh
forget now.
Winkles.
And there was another one, M's. They used to do it. Relation to Jim M.
Oh, yes.
They used to sell them. And these Winkles were only 4p a pint, but ours was 6p a pint. And we sold more Winkles than he did, because our Winkles were a better quality.
Yes. Brenda was known for that, really, wasn't
Yeah.
it? For the better quality stuff.
Now, how could you get better quality Winkles, though? I mean,
Well,
Pay a better price, I
Did
suppose.
it
Yeah.
bigger or something?
Possibly, yes. I don't know how it was done.
Mm.
And because on a Saturday, we used to go up to market, take the old grandfather's schools, and perhaps one of his sons, what's his name? What was the oldest one's name? Skills.
Jim.
Jim Skills, yeah. Used to go up there with Albert and I, and they drop us off at Aldgate, and we go down to the fish market, which was called Billingsgate, and we would go and buy the winkles. Then we pushed the barrow all the way home from Aldgate down to the Isle of Dogs, which was quite a long way.
And your father's parents, were they around, or
No,
did
well,
your father
we
come?
never
We
knew
never
how.
knew them much.
Never knew them.
No. Whether they died while we were young, Dad's brothers, I think we only knew one really.
Two, I knew two,
Oh,
yeah.
two.
There was one that I never knew his name until these people who write these books, and there was a chap there who wrote a book on all the life history of Millwall Football Club.
Mhm.
Because there was 3 brothers played, and that was Dad, Eddie, and William. But I never knew Eddie's name because he was called Uncle Tap.
We always called him that.
We always called him Uncle Tap. But I never knew his name until I read this book. Recently.
Apparently, I heard my mother say that the grandparents, my grandfather worked hard, but he used to drink and he liked to gamble. And he went broke 2 or 3 times. But I heard her say that he would go to market, buy with what money, little bit of money he had, buy the goods, come home, sell it in the shop, back to market again, to buy more goods like that. Well, eventually went broke for the last time almost, didn't he? And Bruce wouldn't
Yeah,
make
Bruce,
him bankrupt.
Bruce he was the salesman, the fruit salesman in the market, Bruce. And he used to help Grandfather quite a lot when he, when he used to drink and all that. But eventually he gave up the drink,
Well, that was the last time, wasn't it? He said he'd never drink.
never drink again. And of course Grandma, she used to like a little drink. And we used to have that get that on the quiet, so he never knew she was drinking.
But he never touched anything after saying that. But she did like a drink. It was only a bottle of stout that she'd
Yeah.
had. And she'd put the poker in.
Yeah,
red
red
hot
poker.
poker and put in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then, of course, when they retired, they went to the country, which is all town now, Langdon. And I went with them because they couldn't read or write. But I could read, so I went with them to read any letters or newspapers I could to them. But my grandmother taught herself to read. She
Really?
would, yes, she would sit for hours and hours with a piece of paper, these little novels that used to come out about tuppence. And she would sit with just one page and try to make these words. And if she got stuck, she would ask what the word was. But eventually she got so good that she was able to read a book through quite quickly. But she could never write. The granddad could write his name and that was all. But he knew to a penny how much profit his shop would make.
Wow. So neither one of them probably had gone to school.
Neither of them was
Yeah.
taught.
No.
It wasn't compulsory then.
No, when my mother started school, she had to pay. It was I don't know whether it was a penny a day or a penny a week, but sooner than pay, you see, the children would play truant, keep the money.
And